Now it's going to have a voice. So we have to grokify it. So we, I just made that up. Anyway, I'm sorry, am I boring you?
Yes, yes. What are the
I'm
jobs
just
that
saying,
are worth more than 10,000 a month right now?
so I'm saying,
There is an awful lot of hype about the Tesla Optimus bot. It's going to be worth $1 zillion. They're going to make a cajillion of them, and the margin will be at least in the umpteens. It sounds very high, but it's still in the teens. So what have we got going on? Well, I figured I'd bring in somebody who knows, or at least says he knows a few things about the bot. This is Randy Kirk. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla Weekend. Randy, you are a little bullish on the bot, I've heard.
well, okay, so I'm a factory guy. Now, there's almost no factory guys in our world. Okay. I think you had some experience in a factory, but I mean, I literally built a factory, literally, put the machines in, watch them being moved around, put all the electrical in and all the things you have to do to set up a manufacturing plant. And then I ran it for 29 years. And so I know a little bit about injection molding, blow molding, extrusion, printing machines, dryers, all the kinds of things that go along with the kind of stuff that I did. And the minute that I saw that bot, the first time that the bot was introduced, I said, I want one right now. Exactly the way it is, made from all the off the shelf parts. I'll buy one, send it to I didn't have the factory at that point, but if I had, I would have bought the bot at that exact moment. I had an application for it because one of the applications in my company was these blow molders, extrusion blow molders. And all they did is they're about this big. You sit in front of these molds. They're about this big and they close and they stay closed for a little while and then they open and then product drops out of it. And then they close and then they open and product drops out of it. And at some point, and then you have to pick up that product and you have to put it into something that spins the top of it off. And then it drops the remainder into another box. Now I know we'd be so much better with pictures, but hopefully that was descriptive enough. The bot can do that now. All it has to do is pick up, in this case, a bicycle water bottle, for those of you who haven't been paying attention. Pick up the bicycle water bottle out of the box, put the bicycle water bottle into the spin trimmer and spin off the top. That would be the entire job. For that, I was paying people to sit there 24 hours a day, 5 days a week, and sometimes 7 days a week in order to make 5 million bottles a year. The bot was already capable of doing that job. And there's other jobs in my factory that he was already capable of doing when he was first introduced in that cat suit or that bot suit or whatever it was.
Yes, I would have also bought that actual human being in a suit. Apparently
I was
there's
actually talking about the next time. Yeah.
Oh, the next one. Oh, that makes more sense because there are, I don't know if you've heard, laws about that.
Yeah.
So now I've seen people saying it's worth $10,000 a month, and I'm sure there are some applications for which it would be. Why don't we start with the applications where it's worth essentially infinite money? Where's an application that an Optimus bot, as we expect its capabilities to be, say, later this year, not today, but 6 months, 12 months from now.
Right.
Give me an application where it's definitely worth 10,000 plus per month.
Oh, so many. I mean, first of all, that job that I was talking about right there, today, that job in California would pay $20 an hour. Okay. Now that $20 an hour is the paycheck. Okay. Most people say, oh, add 35% onto that for Social Security and vacations and sick days and all the rest. Add 35% to that. Well, yeah, that'd be great. We'll do that. 35%, that makes it $27 an hour. Now then, you have a supervisor that has to train that person and retrain that person and be on top of that person to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. Because sometimes if you don't, they can sabotage, they can go slow, they can forget to take care of scrap, for instance, in my industry, and that could cost you a lot of money. So you have to have a supervisor. Then you have HR who's having to hire that position, fire that position, make decisions about how to increase the person's pay. You have all, I'm sorry, am I boring you?
Yes, yes. What are the
I'm
jobs
just
that are
saying,
worth more than 10,000 a month right now?
so I'm saying you take that $27 an hour and now you add, let's just add another three to round it off. Let's make it $30 an hour. $30 an hour for one person is 60,000, I'm sorry, yeah, $60,000 a year for one shift. In my little tiny factory, I had three shifts all year round. So three shifts, now you've got something that's worth, did you do the math? $180,000 a year. Okay. So $180,000 a year is divide by 12. You've already got $15 an hour.
15,000 a month.
I'm sorry, 15,000 a month. That's what I meant.
So the trick with it is if the bot isn't as good as humans, which out of the gate it will not be, it is not worth 15,000.
But
I
in this
meant,
case, it would be. In this case, it would be. All it has to do is every about 20 seconds is pick up a bottle and put it into a little thing, into a little place where it cuts off the top.
well, if
It's already good enough. And I'm saying that there's millions of jobs like that.
Mhm.
Millions of jobs like that. We talked on my show the other day about In-N-Out, and you were concerned that, in a crowded kitchen, it wouldn't be able to keep up or whatever. Do you know how little the hamburger flipper, which is the top job before you go into management in In-N-Out, do you know what that hamburger flipper does?
No.
They lay out patties. They don't have to be fast. They just lay them out. And then they have a timer, and then they flip them, and then they put on the garnish, and then they put down some buns over, it's the bottom of the bun over here, and then you put that finished hamburger over onto the bun. That's all it has to do. Now, you might have to use two bots to do that.
Don't have
But
space for two.
yes, you do. You actually do have space for two. I've been back there. I've seen it. And if you don't have space, make a little more space. But anyway, you have space. All I'm saying is it's not fast. It's not furious. It's not confusing. And it's really simple.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, I was thinking the other jobs would be anything where it's hazardous to humans, cleaning up any kind of bio waste. We see a
Right.
problem with this in some cities where drug addiction has become an epidemic.
Right.
Any place like that would be a good use of it. Another would be at any kind of a disaster site.
Mhm.
There was at Fukushima, it'd be great if you could have bots that can go in and not have to worry about radiation.
Mhm. Mhm.
We've seen the dog Spot from Boston Dynamics go out shortly after a SpaceX test and inspect the area before humans are capable of safely entering that area.
Right.
And Optimus would be very well suited for that, and it would be safer.
Yeah, all kinds of environmental issues, whether it's deep down in maybe submarines that can now go even lower with a humanoid operating them as opposed to just being completely robotic. Space, we've talked about that, taking them to the moon, taking them to Mars. We've got, very, very cold situations, Antarctic or Arctic, where you want to do things, or even tops of mountains or places. But you know what? Warehouses pretty much the world around don't air condition. You can't afford to air condition the warehouse in Phoenix. Okay. And boy, it gets hot there in summer. So you could have bots doing, again, really, really simple tasks in those warehouses that humans would be glad to give that position up if they could find a job doing something in air conditioning. So yes, there's a million different things where you would pay even more because it's hazardous or because it's hot or cold or too much pressure or whatever it might be. Absolutely. But I'm saying the 10,000 a month is easy. I in my formulas that I've used to get to trillions of dollars, I was only figuring 60,000 a year, $5,000 a month. Yeah.
Search and rescue would be another good one.
Search and rescue. Yeah.
Because we've seen situations where a climber will call in and say, I've injured myself, I cannot move. And they say, we can't get there until the storm breaks. And
Yeah.
that is life or death.
Yeah.
And if a bot reaches a degree of cold that it can no longer operate, it just goes into standby until it thaws. No one has to risk their life to try and save someone. Yeah, some opportunities there. But you're saying absolutely everywhere, absolutely everything, all the time. If it's a job, uh, it'll be coming for it. And one thing we had talked about on your show, if you haven't checked it out, I don't blame you. No, I kid, I kid. No,
Whatever.
we do this show, but just as much fun over on Randy's show. It's how we do it. One thing we had talked about was these should be the cooks and the waiters at Tesla's diner that's opening up in a few
Yeah.
months. That would be a demo that would just rock the world. It would be so exciting to see. And then make it like Krispy Kreme, where the window to where the wall dividing the restaurant from the kitchen is glass. Let's see how the sausage is made.
Yeah,
Robot.
there's another use case similar to that, which I've already recommended a couple of weeks ago, which is I think we already have the mannequin. I think you had another name for it. We have the bots that are already in the showrooms, which are just mannequins, but they're boticans. I forget what somebody called them something funny,
Wasn't
but I
me.
can't remember. It wasn't you. All right. Anyway, but putting in a working bot, now it's going to have a voice, so we have to grokify it. So we I just made that up. Anyway, we have to have a voice, but we put them into the showrooms and into the repair facilities, the service centers, as just checking people in. Again, just to create the energy, just to create the fun, and use them in a situation where they're interacting with another human being. Because eventually, that's going to be a huge use case because they will create interest if you have a bot standing in front of Macy's or whatever, waving people in or taking their names or giving them prizes or whatever else. Handing out cookies.
In the 90s, we saw a big shift away from secretarial work. I had a client
Yes.
at Microsoft who said, when you send me the fax on the cover sheet, put my email address and it will be automatically digitally routed to my desk. And that was pretty amazing. All
Pretty
the
amazing.
savings in paper and just general waste. He may still have to print it out, but not everything has to be printed out. There are many companies, even quite large companies, that used to have banks of receptionists who would handle all the incoming calls. No, we have a phone tree now. If you can't find who you're looking for, then you get to talk to the one person who's remaining. And even that could be handled remotely by a service for far less than the cost of having some person sitting there all day wondering if the phone will ever ring. People are getting used to the idea that not everything has to be the way it was 20, 30, 50 years ago, including you and I.
Well, and there's also this whole thing, Brian, that people forget also in these kind of transitions, these kind of disruptive circumstances. It doesn't happen in a weekend. It's going to take 25 years to roboticize the current workforce out there of the things where the robots can take over. So, the first, if they make a million of these things even if I'm the guy that turns out to be right, and they make a million of these in 2025 or 2026 at Tesla, and everybody else makes another 500,000, compared to the workforce of 4 billion people, we're not talking about we're talking about a very tiny drop in the bucket.
Do you know which country is the largest exporter of cotton?
The United States?
Yeah, it is the United States. And that number may be a year or two out of date. But our cotton is the best in the world because, unlike cotton in other countries, ours is all mechanical. It is not covered in hand grease and cigarette butts and trash and dirt. It is very clean. And because we're so heavily mechanized, it means it's also very cheap. It is more cost effective to spend $1 million on a machine that can harvest than it is to have thousands of humans swarm the field and do it the old fashioned way. We have
Yeah, and that had a positive effect on tomatoes too.
tomatoes as well.
Oh, yeah, not really, because
Oh,
now the tomatoes have a shell that's more like an apple instead of instead of a nice, soft, sweet. But yes, it's true, mechanized, agriculture is a big deal. And yet it's not around the world. I don't know if you've ever done a look at tractors and the potential, because most of the world does not even have tractors yet, much less electric tractors, much less automated electric tractors, which are coming. It is going to change everything in third world countries when they just are able to have tractors.
Well, I'll tell you what I want to know from you guys is what is a job that you think is ripe for disruption from bots? And part two, I guess I would ask, is 10,000 a month the right number? Because it strikes me as awfully high for something that's going to be built for 20,000 is my guess, especially as it ramps and scales. What did we miss? What did we misunderstand? Leave it. Subscribe, like, do all the usual things, and go over and check out Randy Kirk and see what he's up to. It might be interesting. And I will talk, and I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots on the next one.